We're back out here at the Big Lake once again, and today we're talking about one of the most important factors that you can have for fishing the fall transition, and what lures and baits go along with that. Stick around, you don't want to miss this one. Oh, got him! I knew there had to be one back here. Oh yeah, that's a good one, kids. That is a good one. Come here, buddy. He's digging. Oh, I can see him. It's a good fish. And here is this video's featured comment. Congratulations! If you would like to have a chance to have your comment featured in an upcoming video, all you've got to do is leave a comment. And now, on with the video. Welcome back to Lowbrow Fishing, and if it's one thing we can count on is that fall is going to change. The month of October is going to be very erratic as far as conditions go. As those last vestiges of summer try to hang on, we get some very warm and sunny days, and then we can have some really cold and freezing nights depending on how far north you are. And, well, that can really affect those bass, and most of the time not in a good way. As those waters cool down and as those bass begin to stabilize, the fishing actually really does get better the farther along into fall we go. That's always been my experience, but sometimes there are some rough patches we have to endure where, we'll kind of have some crazy weather days. We'll have it where it's really hot during the day and then it'll be really cold at night. And those fish don't know what to think. They don't know what to do. So they can be a little bit finicky, get a little bit of a case of lockjaw. But the point of today's video is how to handle those sorts of changes, how to cope with them, how to adapt. The last couple of times I've come out here, the topwater bite has been full open, right? We've been getting some blow-ups. Sometimes they'll slap at it, and we talked about throwing in there with a backup bait, a follow-up bait. That's very, very important. Now, today we're going to elaborate on that just a little bit. See, you look at the conditions behind me, right? We've got overcast skies. It's kind of a little bit warm today. It's about 85 degrees. And that lake is slick, calm. Winds are pretty much slack today. We've had them up to just a couple miles an hour, and they've been pretty stable. And you think to yourself, well, the topwater bite has been killer so far all month. Today is really going to be a topwater day. And as I'm coming to the lake and I'm seeing the conditions as I'm driving around, and I'm saying to myself, I'm going to clean up today. Today, I am absolutely going to whack them on topwater. Well, guess what? They didn't want topwater today. We're going to get into that, but it's a little bit of a strange thing. You would think that today would be the topwater day, right? Slick, calm weather, overcast skies. Things were warmed up, and it's not like those bass weren't busting. There were some bass that were busting, although they haven't been as active as they were during the summer. But still, even when I was fishing topwater the past week or so, those bass weren't busting. I was creating my own blowups. We talked about that. So I decided, all right, I'm going to put the topwater down. Let's go ahead and search for those bass. But I kind of got away from the fundamentals when I did that. I picked up this guy right here, this Fritz-side, Coffinville Fritz-side, and I started to go hunting. I started to lose my focus, and I started to go hunting for those bass. I wasn't getting anything. And then I said, you know what, Lowbrow? Just take a second. Focus. You know what you're doing. You know where those bass are at. You know what time of year it is. So what did I do? Well, I did the same thing I always did. I pick up a worm, right? In this case, a wacky rigged worm, and I went right back along the bank and I decided, okay, those fish have still got to be up shallow. They've still got to be up under this flooded brush. Right along the edges of it, maybe not up under the brush, but they're pulled back just a little bit. And I decided to throw this worm around. And I am so glad that I did, because it didn't take me long. And, well, I was already on fish. All right, we are approaching a spot I'm going to work with a wacky worm, because those bass are going to be pretty shallow, I think. So we're going to get this old wacky worm into a few spots and see what we can get. Ooh, that's a nice one. Come on now. Ooh, that one feels pretty okay. Come on now. He's not giant, but he's not bad. We'll take him. We will certainly take him. Oops, funk. He's funk. Come here, you, so the world can get a good look at you on the Lowbrow Fishing Channel. Okay, so the wacky worm. That fish is kind of cold, but he's just north of a pound. Barely north of a pound, but we're going to call him right at a pound, but he's just a little bit above that. Great fish. He's got a little dent in the top of his head. Awesome color. All right, little buddy, thank you. So, nice little pounder, little pound, plus bass. Great way to get things going. Gets the funk out, gets the skunk out. Tells me I'm on the right track. So, refocusing was the way to go. And that's what we need to do as anglers. We need to make sure that we have more than one approach whenever we're going out on the water. Today my mistake was I was locked in the top water. That's what I was going to throw. Didn't happen. So I needed to adjust. I needed to stop and adjust on the fly. So I went with that wacky rig. I slowed things down. I went with what I knew here on the big lake, and it paid off. But, things really got interesting whenever I noticed that there was several boaters in my area, and they were fishing the same water that I was fishing. They were kind of encroaching on me. And it's like, well, I didn't have the freedom to fish how I really wanted to fish because other guys were in that area. So I ended up getting brave today. I ended up taking a huge risk, and boy, did it ever pay off. I took the little boat, that little boat right up there, and I followed that creek, the one that feeds this lake, the one that I talk about pouring into the lake and bringing fresh water. Well, I took the little boat up in there, and oh my goodness, was I ever surprised at the fish that I caught in there. It was completely virgin water. And what those fish were after was, well, a topwater frog. That's what I tied on. That's what I threw out. And right off of the bat, as soon as that frog hit the water, there was a huge boil, and those bass, big bass, were all over it. We have got this frog, the scum frog, tied on yellow and black. And we are working a spot that nobody else can get to. Ooh, there's bass all in there. And they are slapping at it. Oh, and he took my frog. He ate it. He ate it and it's gone. He bit my frog off. I lost the leader and everything in there. So that didn't end so well. I don't know what happened. The line broke right there at the leader. It was the craziest thing I'd ever seen. That fish swallowed it, and I went to set the hook, and it was nothing but air. It just whiffed. That leader broke laying in the water. Strange things happened, but, I ended up losing a frog. I think that was the first time I've ever lost a frog like that. I mean, it was the strangest thing. But either way, so I tied on this fella, and I went to work in that same area. See, these fish have never seen a lure. They've never seen a frog. They don't know what it is. We are in the shallowest water that you could possibly imagine. And that was a terrible cast. Trying to work this. Got him. Oh, he feels okay. Doesn't feel terrible. Come here, you. All right. Look at that gorgeous largie. He entailed that frog. And there you go, the frog bite. Oh yeah, look at that. He went after that thing. He went after it. I just get it out of your mouth now. There we go. That is a nice little 1.5 pound largie right there. Gorgeous fish. All right, we know they're in here, and we know they are biting. Thank you very much, dude. Thank you. And there he goes. So using that ability of my boat to be able to get in that super skinny water and get places where nobody else could, being forced there today by those other boats, well, I found some places and I was forced to fish in a way that I hadn't planned on, that I really wasn't ready for, and it worked out so well. I wasn't planning on going up into that creek today, but I'm so glad that I did, because I caught so many fish. And I'm going to go up there fishing again. You can believe that. You know that's going to be a Lowbrow's private little honey hole from now on, because like I said, those fish had never seen a bait before, and they didn't want just any bait. They wanted this frog. You know, you can say, well, Lowbrow, those fish, you could have thrown anything. No, I threw the wacky rig. They didn't want it. I threw a Texas rig. I threw a fluke. They didn't want that. I tied on the Boy Howdy. They didn't want that. All they wanted was this frog. And boy, did they ever want it. I was so happy with the fish that I caught today. From what turned into a frustrating grind, you know, not being able to find those fish, not knowing where any of those fish were, and losing my focus and getting frustrated, to refocusing, putting my head down and remembering where those bass are and what they're doing this time of year. We are in about as secluded a back pocket as you are ever going to find. I promise you these fish do not see worms or baits. And I'm fishing a topwater frog out here. So we're going to give this a try. And it's pretty deep. This looks like it's got to be gold, right? You've got to think that this has got to be gold. Oh, got him. I knew there had to be one back here. Oh, yeah. That's a good one, kids. That is a good one. Come here, buddy. He's digging. Oh, I can see him. It's a good fish. Whoa. Nope. I had you good. I knew there had to be one back here. I knew there had to be, and he choked it. All right. Come on now. I found some good virgin water. Beautiful, beautiful fish. Absolutely gorgeous fish. Pound and a half. We sure do appreciate that. Thank you so much. There he goes. As far as, you know, baits being on opposite end of the spectrum, you're not going to find two that are more far apart than a topwater frog and a wacky rig. I mean, those baits are just on the opposite end of the spectrum, but that's kind of the point. We want to be able to cover as many different opportunities as we can, especially in the fall when things change so rapidly. You know, conditions vary from day to day or even from hour to hour. We've got to be able to adjust to that. So the fewer rods that we can use to do that with, the more efficient we are out on the water. And the more efficient we are out on the water, well, chances are we can stay focused, we can remain focused instead of going crazy. And whenever we stay focused, we always end up catching more fish. So there you have it, being able to change and adapt as your environment and those conditions around you change, and being able to do it in an efficient manner will only help you land more bass. It also doesn't hurt to have a willingness to explore, to be a little bit adventurous, and sometimes it helps if you can think a little bit outside the box. Thanks for watching Lowbrow Fishing. We'll catch you in the next one.